last time around the Inside Politics table, I ask our great reporters to share a little something from their notebooks, help get you out ahead of the big political news just around the corner. Julie Pace.
Hard as it is to believe, the Democratic presidential field is about to get a little bit bigger. Montana Governor Steve Bullock is going to announce his campaign in the coming days. Bullock's been waiting until his legislative session in Montana has wrapped up before making this official. He's pretty unknown to most Americans and faces a real uphill climb in this big field with a lot of Democratic stars. But he thinks he has a compelling case to make in a primary where electability has been one of the big questions from Democratic voters. He's won in a red state, and he's very comfortable talking to Trump voters, something he has to do in Montana every day.
Be interesting to watch. Governors, we could use more governors. We don't have many. Michael?
Speaking of campaigns, we've seen how eager President Trump is to get this campaign started. At a political rally in Florida last week, he all but crowned Biden the Democratic nominee, told his supporters he wants this race to start immediately. Well, the campaign staff is catching up to him. Brad Parscale, the campaign manager, has hired a senior staff, political veterans with people with actual experience doing the things they're asked to do this time around. There's a regional political infrastructure being built out with a heavy focus on the Midwest and Florida. There are plans for 50 communication staffers in battlegrounds. 4 years ago, I don't think there were 5. So what's this tell us? We're seeing a campaign that's becoming more mature around the president. They're more focused, more organized, more professional. The question moving forward, of course, is whether the candidate has become one too.
Yeah, that's a good question, Bill. So there's growing concern on Capitol Hill that the largest and most consequential legislative fight of this year, a spending deal and an increase in the debt ceiling, is already off to a terrible start. You've had Senate Appropriations Committee Chairman Richard Shelby several times this week say that people on Capitol Hill just don't understand the stakes here, don't understand how draconian the cut should be, not just to defense, but also to domestic programs. Traditionally, these deals are made because both sides get something what they want, they waive the caps and they move forward. Here's the problem right now. I'm told behind the scenes the White House has repeatedly told congressional staffers and lawmakers that they're okay with keeping the caps in place. They're okay with those major budget cuts, and they believe they can find some other way to address the cuts to defense that Republicans care about so much. The reality is, and I'm told this from congressional Republicans, that is simply implausible. And if the White House doesn't want to come to the table and try and make the deal with Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill, there's going to be a major issue, not just because of those cuts, but a potential fiscal crisis if they don't raise the debt ceiling. Heading into an election year. Awesome.
So, more campaigns. North Carolina's 9th congressional district. I'm taking a look at the special election there, which was called because in 2018, the state board found that election fraud had taken place. So Republicans have a primary on Tuesday. They're hoping to avoid a runoff because already it's going to be an uphill climb against Democrat Dan McCready, who is running unopposed there. Democrats shouldn't have a chance of flipping this seat, which has long been red, but they do now because of McCready's big cash advantage. And also, as we see this special election develop, both parties are going to be trying to read the tea leaves for where the electorate is at ahead of 2020.
And North Carolina, one of the most competitive states. Keep an eye on that. It's fun. I'll close by circling back to Montana, one of the country's least populous states, but one of its most politically competitive. Julie just noted the two-term Democratic Governor Steve Bullock poised to join the 2020 presidential race. That's just one of several major political shifts for Montana in the year ahead. Republican Congressman Greg Gianforte, you might remember him for assaulting a political reporter 2 years ago, is sending signals he wants to go home and run for governor. And because of that, Auditor Matt Rosendale was in D.C. this past week. Rosendale now trying to line up GOP support to run for that House seat if Gianforte does not. Rosendale, you might recall, was the Republican nominee for Senate last year. He got 47% of the vote, but lost to Democrat John Tester. Remember all those trips to Montana? That race was personal to President Trump, and he stewed about it for days after the midterms. GOP groups poured some $20 million into Montana to help Rosendale. Some of them now want to see if other contenders emerge before committing to Rosendale again. Some also say they're waiting to see if the president has an opinion.